America. This is Mr. Citizen Patriot. I finally have made it here to Washington, D.C. I've been around for 17 years, born in Los Angeles in 2003. My role is to bring patriotism to a higher level in our country. My role is to wear this uniform for the sake of the men and women who wore their uniforms to be shot at, that I may be free. I didn't go to be shot at, but the least that I can do for those men and women who gave their lives for me is to wear this uniform to remind the world who they are and what they've done. And I've come also to raise the spirit of patriotism in our country, to come together, whether you're on the political right or left, it doesn't matter right now. We as a nation must come together, and what better person to help bring the nation together than a person like Mr. Citizen Patriot. And for more information on Mr. Patriot and how to get in touch with me and participate in this new awakening of American patriotism, go to mrpatriot.us. Get involved with this new American patriotism that we're bringing to you today. Hello, everybody. Shalom. How you doing? That's my boy. Yeah, he's pretty tough cat. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to another exciting, intriguing episode of Your Power Weapon on Urban Smart Network. Folks, remember now that word weapon is in quotations. It's not a real gun thing, but we're talking about the power of the mind. Tonight, we are going to discuss two things. One very short piece, something's coming up on January the 1st, 2022. You know what that is? Does anybody know what's going to happen on January the 1st? No, it's not the new year. Something bigger than that. What could be bigger than that? It is the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. January 1st, 1863 is the 159th anniversary of Black folks getting set free. And for some reason, we kind of forgot about the Declaration of Independence, but we're going to bring it back. We're going to tell you more about that later. So we're going to talk about that. But, you know, something has been happening out here in Los Angeles, Pasadena, Beverly Hills, and across the country, North Carolina, all over the country. Flyers have been posted alleging that Jews are behind the COVID conspiracies. Once again, another trope to destroy these people. And I thought, you know, we're gonna bring that up front tonight and have a conversation on that issue right there. If you go on the internet, folks, you can see it's a lot of stuff talking about this, you know. And there is one group, and Shai, my special guest, will probably be able to name the guy, but he's mentioned in the articles, and they're putting this around. It's causing quite a bit of concern. And so we want to deal with that tonight. And so I want to move forward real quick, and I want to introduce our regular, wonderful OGs, guys with gray hair, OGs, brothers and sisters who are your contributors, regular contributors. Keith Huddy, what's up, my brother? He's the co-host, actually. Keith, talk to us for a minute, man. Say something nice or intriguing or challenging.
Well, there are a lot of things going on, and especially with the COVID. I'm not sure exactly what our topic is tonight. I apologize. Ted, you know.
Well, you the topic right now, my brother.
Well, you know, it's amazing. All the things that are going on with COVID and, you know, the tyranny that the people have accepted. So many people, not all, because we haven't accepted, but so many people are relaxed and okay with the tyranny that's come upon us. And let's talk about that. Let's see what's going on here.
Absolutely.
You know, how can we wake the people up?
Absolutely. And we got to, and folks, whatever you do, do not fear. Fear not. And remember, perfect love casts out all fear. We'll talk about that some more. Don't be afraid. Let's go over and talk to the man called the Unicorn, straight from the South Side. What's up, my brother?
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
I want to thank you for having me on again. You have such interesting topics. I can't wait to hear what Shai is going to tell us. But, you know, real quick, why is it that every time evil rears its ugly head, they seem to go after the Jewish people or the Black people, and they find some way to take the ills of the day and put it on the back of the Jewish people. Didn't Hitler do that with Mein Kampf? Now here we come with COVID. Oh, COVID is the problem of the Jewish people in Israel when there's no place called Wuhan, Israel.
There you go, Unicorn. You poking that horn again.
Gotta do it.
Hey, man, what's that design you got behind you right there? What is that? That's nice.
You talking about the tapestry?
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
Oh, it's a basic like Asian peace sign type tapestry. Just a basically what do you call it, a reprograph.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. It's always a joy having both you and Ken, the KKs, tonight.
Right.
Now, folks, look, there's a cat I'm gonna bring on right now. And if you go to Your Power Weapon on Urban Smart Network, and you go to my page, you scroll down, you see one of my pods, and it says Jewish activist, civil rights activist Shai Abishur. Go check this out. It's only a 5-minute speech he gave a few months ago on the corner of on Wilshire Boulevard at the Federal Building, right? And he got up and he gave this speech, y'all. You need to go and listen to it. I've known this young man. He's in his 30s now, I think it is, and he's a mogul out here. He does some great stuff, and he's got a wonderful family. The Abishur, they've adopted me, as it were, into their family, and anyway, wonderful, generous, leading family. And I just want to introduce this young man. He's been really a help to our cause, folks, to Black folks' cause. He's been a wonderful help. Brothers and sisters, let me introduce to you Shai Abishur, civil rights and Jewish homeless activist. Hey, my man.
Thank you for having me. And thank you for always giving me so many compliments. I love you, Ted. You're my role model. So I look up to you. I hold you to a higher standard than anyone, MLK, Gandhi, whoever it is. And I say it all the time. For someone to go out of their way and put their life on the line, live in the streets for 7 years and eat out of the trash cans. And literally, that self-sacrifice you don't see. You do not see. I've never seen it. I've only heard about it in stories in the Bible or, the Torah, the Quran, whatever. You see this self-sacrifice in those instances. But, you impress me. You impress me. And I'm glad to know you. And I'm happy to be here tonight with all of you.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Shai? Tell us a little bit about LEARN before we get into the controversy. What is LEARN?
LEARN. So it stands for Love is Real Movement. And it's very simple. We believe that with doing actionable good deeds, we can make this world a better place. Whether it's, going with you and fighting the White House, trying to get federal land to build these self-sustaining Israeli kibbutz, eco-friendly townships, like what you did years ago at Dome Village, to help end Black homelessness in particular, or to, feed people at the border, or, many other actionable good deeds that we believe everyone else should be doing the same things. So it's a model of self-sacrifice and mitzvah, right?
Yes, mitzvah. That's what it's all about.
It's a Jewish concept. It's universal now, but it's essentially doing good deeds, actionable good deeds, where we can have tikkun olam, and that's to have world peace. To do good is peace. So yeah, Ted's been a partner of mine. We've been out there, we've been doing really good things, and I hope you guys can follow us and join us. We need all the help we can. But yeah, dark times. And
one of the things, Shai, if I may say to the folks that LEARN is doing, our objective is to reunite in a very real way, even greater than we were in the 1960s, the Jewish and the Black peoples together in this country.
100%.
That combination is a divine combination, in my opinion. And so Shai and his sister Maytal and Ronnie, Alon, the whole Abishur household and all their friends and followers, we're working to do that. This is one reason why I really wanted Shai to be on tonight, so we can talk about this anti-Semitic movement, this anti-Jewish movement that they're trying to label. Shai is saying that the Jews are behind the COVID thing. What's up, brother?
Yeah, those flyers that were going around in Beverly Hills, Pasadena, other parts of the United States, other parts of the world. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed, right? They will use these disgusting tactics to demonize Jews. We've seen it for thousands of years. It's just what it is. And it's unfortunate. There are people there that would believe it. These flyers are being passed around saying, Jews started COVID or whatever it is. They started with the Chinese, and then now it's us. But it's very sad to see these things because it's reminiscent of Nazi Germany, and that wasn't long ago.
Why do you suppose? Now, brothers, Keith and Ken, feel free to enter the conversation at any point, ask Shai a question or make a comment, okay? I want you guys to feel free here, because the idea, viewers, is to have this understanding between our people so that we can unite, so that God can bring us together for our sake, for the nation's sake. So I got this flag upside down. See,
I got a question.
But,
Yes,
go ahead.
I got a question, Shai. You know how if you say that the election was stolen, or if you say something negative about, God forbid, Nancy Pelosi, the FBI is everywhere. They're all over you. This is a textbook 101 hate crime. Has this been forwarded to the FBI or any law enforcement agencies working on this?
Going back to Nancy Pelosi, when I was in D.C. with Ted, he slow danced with her, and I have a video of that.
What?
We've
dancing with the enemy, huh?
That's it. Hey, shut the show off. It's done. We're done for the night. Shai, you outed me.
You deserve to see it. It's worth it.
It's true. We was in DC one night at the Congressional Black Caucus festival that they had, and they had a little dance. So we crashed. We went in. We was cool, and Nancy was there, and they were dancing, and they were trying to be non-political. And so I had a few drinks. We all had a little drink, and then she came by. I looked at her and she looked at me because I'm strange looking anyway. And so she walked by. She's kind of bounced. So I took her arm. I took her hand, and I started spring dancing with her and spinning around.
Snap!
Nancy Pelosi. Anyway, go ahead, Shai. I'm sorry I broke in there.
It was one heck of a night. Yeah, but going back to politics, look, at the end of the day, I don't believe in any gangs, right? You have red, you have blue. It's just about being real. And there's so much emotions that's going on. I call it the soccer mom mentality, right? It's the mom that's always like cheering for the other side. Even though her son, may not be the best player, she's still going to cheer him on and root for him. So I've learned throughout the years to kind of detach myself when it comes to these emotionally driven body politics that have essentially this gang mentality. It's about talking facts and being real, and whatever the topic is, grabbing it and understanding the fundamentals without emotions, without Xing someone out, or without attacking someone. You can't even have a conversation nowadays. It's mind blowing. I bumped into and I run across so many people, and as soon as you don't say something that may align with their team, they blow up. They get crazy. It's like this. It's borderline psychotic. You know what I mean?
No, you're right, and there's a reason for the psychosis. That's absolutely true. I want to shift up here in a minute. So this is Ted, y'all. Ted Hayes, aka Mr. Patriot, on your power weapon, UrbanSmartNetwork.com. Okay, go visit us, Facebook us, do all your social media, tell your friends. You see what kind of conversations we have here, and it's going to get hotter soon. So y'all want to be a part of this, okay? Don't forget to check us out. Now, I want to move up on something here. On that flyer, from what I could see from a distance when I saw it on the news, they began to cite. They had a whole list of people on that flyer that were Jews.
Yep.
Right.
I got it right here.
At the top was that lady from the CDC that's always giving out the orders and commands. And they also, now the Anti-Defamation League went after some people because they accused George Soros of putting money and so forth behind Black Lives Matter and all this other confusion in the country. And so along with what you were saying here, so the Anti-Defamation League said that was anti-Semitic. In other words, you cannot, what they were saying is that you cannot criticize a Jewish person. If you do, you are anti-Semitic, you're anti-Jewish. And the same thing goes with gay people. You cannot criticize a gay person unless you are homophobic. You cannot criticize a person who's a Muslim unless you are Islamophobic or transgenderphobic or whatever. So we've been kind of like these diapers that make us wear right now, these what do you call them, face masks? You can't say nothing, let alone think. Freedom. You see? So there's a mixture in here. So I've always said, Sean, you've heard me say this before, that we've got to watch out for these really anti-Jewish, Nazi, white supremacists in this country. Because they're going to be looking for any opportunity for whenever a Jewish person makes a mistake or does something that is bad, like a Soros or whoever, they're going to come out and they're going to say, see, we told you about these Jews.
Yeah. Look, they're going to, the same thing they do to Black people. You know, they, unfortunately, or not unfortunately, it's just who we are. Jews and Blacks, we have this like commonality that we've been oppressed for thousands of years. It's crazy. It's natural at this point. You know, we're visibly different. That's what it is. And Jews, you know, we're wearing our yarmulke and, you know, our talit, and we're walking down the street, going to synagogue. Everyone knows our schedule, what we do, and we live in certain communities. And Black people, it's the color of their skin. We wear that and you wear this. And wherever we go, it's easy to pinpoint us and to blame everything on us. You know, Black people are like this, they do this, or Jews are like this, they do that. And they take us and they politicize us and they weaponize us. And we see it, you know, we see it. We're not blind. And we have the common enemies. You know, it's the Nazis, it's the, you know, Islamic fundamentalists that want to divide this country, and they want to, you know, throw us on each other. That's what we're seeing nowadays. They'll take any instance to do that. And in fact, they teamed up a long time ago. The Nazis and the Islamists teamed up a long time ago. If you look at Mohammed D. Fard, Wallace D. Fard, the founder of Nation of Islam was a Nazi. I'm not making this up. You can Google this. It's unbelievable. And he trained Elijah Muhammad, and Elijah Muhammad trained Farrakhan. And you look at their summits, you literally have Nazis with swastikas, white men on the front rows. These people were funding these movements because they have the same common enemies. It's to divide Black and white America and to kill Jews, right? And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that for thousands of years, you know, both our people have gone through so much. You know, we've been robbed, we've been raped, we've been persecuted, and they don't give up. They can't stop hating us for some reason. And
what do you think that reason? I have my suspicions what those reasons are, and maybe I'll share them at this point. But why do you suppose? I know for us, United States American Africans or Africanized Americans are Black citizens according to the Constitution, United States 14th Amendment, Civil Rights Act of 1866, etc. I know in this country for 403 years, we have lived under an oppression. 10% of us have always gotten through, but seem like when those 10% get through, they forget about the rest of us back here and they leave us alone. And we've and in our struggle in this country, we've always somehow we were able to, by God's mercy, look through the oppression of the white peoples, the Christians, the Jews, or whoever. We looked through that and we found God. And we have always aligned ourselves with the Jewish struggle, with Exodus. When you go to black churches, and K, you guys may want to verify this, but most of our sermons, even though we believe in Jesus, Yeshua, most of our sermons was about David and Moses and Joshua. You know, all go down Moses. What was the other? We are climbing Jacob. You know, so there has been this affinity. And how, Shah, do you think we can bring that back to a greater height than ever before?
Look, it's only natural that we have this deep connection. Our stories are the same, right? We've both been slaves. We were both constantly attacked and weaponized and politicized. Jews saw what was happening to our black brothers and sisters during the civil rights era, even before that. And we didn't sit back.
Well, Dr. King said, folks, that if it wasn't for the Jewish participation, their money and their bodies on the line like that, because several Jewish people was killed, like in Mississippi and other places, for being out there with us like that. He said if it wasn't for them, there would not have been a civil rights movement. Y'all need to think about that. He didn't say if it was for wasn't for Muslims.
I'm reminded of a childhood story. Going to church with my mother in South Side of Chicago. She was a devout member of the First Church of Deliverance off of Wabash Avenue. And sometimes in the summertime, my mom and her sisters and some of the other women of the community, they get on the front porch and they talk about, religion and the Bible and all of that. And then, I don't know if you want to call it urban legend, or perhaps Shai can lend some truth to it. But when you think that Israel and Egypt and all that, it's in Africa. So you're going to run into some pretty dark-skinned people, some Moorish type people. And so this urban legend that I heard as a child was this, that on the day of the Passion, on the day that Jesus was taken to Calvary, that cross proved to be just a little too heavy and he dropped it. And the Roman soldiers were like, they pointed to a gentleman in the crowd and told him, and it's shown even in the Passion of the Christ that is depicted, they point to a man and say, pick that up and you carry it. Well, when you consider that this God came to earth and became sin for us, everything about that day was spiritually symbolic, all the way from Barabbas to, Judas. So when that black man, this is what my mom would say, when that black man picked up that cross, he joined the cross. And that's why we're dually persecuted.
That's a very interesting point. I never quite saw that before. Good point. How about you, Keith?
Yeah, well, I'm enjoying. Like I said, what Ken just said was really, that ministered to me. I remember that that story about the black man who carried the cross for Jesus part of the way, and helped. That's very powerful.
So you think that there is a spiritual?
Yeah, I really do, because when you think about another part of the Bible, and I'm not sure if it's in the Torah too, but when Jesus cast the demons into the pigs, right? Let me tell you something. I don't eat pork no more. I'm not knocking anybody who does, but let me tell you, if you don't eat pork for 30 days and then you go back and try to eat it, if you don't smell sulfur, I'll eat my hat. Keeping it real.
Hey. I think a lot of the confusion in this, when it comes to Jews and Gentiles and all of us Christians and whoever, Muslims and all these people, I think the confusion is we tend to think that all Jews are good people. We tend to think that all Muslims or Arabs or whoever are good people.
there's bad and good in all
Yeah,
people.
of course, of
And I
course.
think, and unfortunately, in my opinion, for Jewish people down through antiquity to the present, because of the unique idea of who this group of people are in the based on the written scripture, people look at that and it's like looking at the police. They stand out. It's like when black folks, when we do something, we stand out. And people expect something of black people. And so it is, I think, when the Jew does something bad, it's shouted to the mountaintops.
Of course.
See?
Look,
And what that Jew has done is no worse than some Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever. It's just that because of the legacy that Hashem, that God has called upon this people, there's something there spiritual, I think. And I think that he's bringing us, the remnant of the Hamitic people that was brought here as Joseph was brought in chains to America, to Egypt, that we're going to be set free. And as we are set free, we're going to be able to also help our Jewish brothers. One of my names is, Mr. KK, Mr. Patriot, Ted Hayes, and all that. But also, I've been given a Jewish name by the Abishur household. And my name, based on my testimony, is Yosef. Yosef. You know the story of Yosef. And the other name that I have is called Ebed Melech. Ebed Melech means servant of the king. And if you know the story about that, Jeremiah, the prophet, the Jewish prophet, Hebrew prophet, was thrown in the dungeon because he was criticizing the country too much. And so the nobles and the leaders and politicians, the king, they threw him in the dungeon. And then this black man came to the king and said, King, they just threw Jeremiah in the dungeon. He's going to die. And if he dies, God going to have you. And so the king said, okay, go and get him free. And so this black man, according to scriptures, went and dropped ropes and rags down to Jeremiah. And he and 30 soldiers pulled Jeremiah out of the mire and saved him. I see that this attack upon our Jewish brothers coming from around the world is whatever fear or jealousy they have of these people. They want to throw them in the mire that they die. Okay, and Jews are having a very difficult time, and I believe that God has called us to become kind of like a shield, because in this country, United States, we are the only people that have the moral and the legal shield authority to stop all of this madness as soon as we come to our consciousness. Y'all understand what I'm saying here?
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
You see, because when we do action, God's going to lock in behind that.
If you believe in God, if you believe in the divine God, this meeting is no accident. Just the fact that we found this thing.
That just blows my mind. When I see that, I get goose pimples. That's incredible.
It's crazy. That story was mind-blowing. A lot of these incidences has happened in the past couple of years. So what Ted was holding up was this medallion. We were in Beverly Hills on Burnway shooting this clip about the homeless communities there. That these.
It was a home, ladies and gentlemen. Believe it or not, there is a homeless encampment in Beverly.
Many
now.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Ted was there, and we're talking, and we're shooting him, and we were talking about doing good deeds and getting people involved, and just getting very spiritual. And the camera guy told Ted, he's like, can you go back here? I want to do like an angle this way. And Ted's like, okay. And it was kind of getting towards the end, and we're a little bit tired. And he's like, yeah, Ted, you want to pick a spot, just bend down and let me get an angle this way. And Ted's like, I saw on his face he didn't want to do it. I'm like, okay, Ted, let's do this. And you know what? And then the guy pushed it. He said, you know what, Ted? I want you to stick your hand in the dirt, in the soil, and hold it up like this. We're talking about acres and acres of land. Acres and acres of land. Ted got on his knees, put his hands in the soil, reached out a medallion, a medallion. He went deep in and reached out and he pulled out a medallion with a Star of David on it. I kid you not. Mind blowing. And it's all on video. We actually have this footage.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wait a minute. Is it that medallion with the unicorn in it?
That's the medallion.
Yes, this
The woman-
medallion.
And your name is Unicorn, right?
I am the Southside Unicorn. Yes, sir.
So
Wow.
how does this work? That we're all sitting here today, and 2 months ago he reached down the dirt, pulled out a unicorn with a Star of David on it on acres and acres of land. He could have kneeled anywhere on that land, anywhere. He reached his hand deep in the dirt. It wasn't on the surface. It was deep in the dirt, and he pulled out this medallion. I don't know how to explain that.
So
I can try.
So
About 5
I'm sorry.
About 5 years ago, I was doing something totally different than what I'm doing right now. I'm a former peace officer, veteran of the United States Air Force, military cop and civilian cop. I was minding my own business when the Holy Spirit came into my room and said, Kenny, all of that is over. The Lord needs you to begin to open your mouth. And I'm like, me? What am I going to do? You know? And he showed me, he said, all God wants you to do is be in certain places and then open your mouth. I'm like, I don't know how to do that kind of stuff, God. He said, don't worry about it. I got that covered. Well, over the last 5 years, as we'll go through it at some points in times, the Lord God has shown that he's putting me in places where I'm supposed to be. So I'm giving him the glory, not myself. But like you said, on acres and acres of land, here is, Mr. Hayes, and he reaches down into the soil, God's soil, and he pulls out what? A Star of David unicorn? I say he gives us evidence like my brother Keith said last week when I was kind of wrestling with something. He said, when God means for you to know what or who somebody is, he will send evidence of what's going on.
It was crazy. First of all, thank you for your service. You went from a physical soldier to a spiritual soldier, and I appreciate that. Hopefully
you nailed it. It's weird. I can't handle it sometimes, but I'm like, you know what? The man I am today wouldn't even recognize the man I used to be, and it's but for the Lord God. And I'm honored to be in the presence of gentlemen like yourselves because we got work to do.
Oh yeah, we're losing a physical battle, but we're also losing a spiritual battle. Right? There's so many people that are disconnected and so easily manipulated. Unfortunately, it's up to people like us to raise awareness, spread love, and do good things. Hopefully they'll catch on. I really believe in that.
Amen. It's like evil did its homework. When you look at the old Nazi days, and every generation evil rears its ugly head, it was looking for something. And I asked the Holy Spirit, I said, what is it that evil is looking for? Because every 20 to 30 years, here he comes. But every 20 to 30 years, men and women rose up and they pushed evil back. They did something. And it came to me that evil is looking for the do-nothing generation. It's hoping to come at some point in time and find the do-nothing generation.
Yeah.
I pray that generation has not come yet.
I pray.
Folks, this is Ted, your power weapon, right here. What you think, what you understand about this life, and who you are in this United States of America, your power weapon on urbansmartnetwork.com. We're here with Keith Huddy, my host. We're here with Ken White, the Unicorn, co-host. And of course, we have my very special guest today and friend and brother, Shai Abishur. Now, I'd like to move us to this part. It's one thing to have consciousness about what's right, what's wrong, God, spirituality, and so forth. There's a Jewish word, a Hebrew word rather, and it's called, correct me, Shai, if I say it wrong, mitzvot. Mitzvot means doing good work, doing good justice on this earth. Like the prayer goes, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Out in Venice Beach, I've come across a lot of philosophies, religious beliefs, all kinds of stuff I get to hear. And I always say to people, whatever you believe up there in the sky, whatever it is that floats your boat up there, Bring that down to earth into your body. Manifest that word and walk on this planet amongst us people, particularly as it relates to the poor, the oppressed, i.e., the homeless. That tells me what your faith and what your religion and what your spirituality is. Not what you think up there, but what you have brought from up there down here to this earth. And let me tell y'all something, Black folks especially out there, listen to me good here. In our struggles in the 50s and the 60s, getting free from that second slavery called Jim Crow, it was Jewish peoples of all different sects of Jewish people who came to our rescue and delivered us from the white supremacist oppression that was beating us down and destroying us. They came. Martin Luther King, who we revere, supposedly, he stated clearly that if it wasn't for the Jewish peoples, there would not have been a civil rights movement. So Black people, especially young Black folks, if you enjoying what you think is freedom right now, you have to think and realize it was these people who call themselves, or we call Jews. Since that day, if you go into the Black community or even Hispanic community or any place where there are poor people struggling, on their nonprofit boards, you'll find a Jew somewhere helping out, putting money in. There's a group in Compton put together a tennis club for some kids over there. Jewish folks did this. Most of my help for Black folks and all homeless people have come from Jewish folks, you see. I mean, other people have helped too, but primarily that's who it's been. And you hear a lot of talk about, well, you know, the Nation of Islam and Islam this and Islam that. Yeah, assalamu alaikum and all that's wonderful. That's talk. These Jews put walk. And that's why I am convicted in this matter. And that's why I have Shai here tonight. That's why I want us to talk about, Shai, what are some of the things that we have been doing, that you have done? For example, what you did out there. Well, tell them a little bit of stuff that Lerm has been doing in relation to helping me with homelessness.
Oh, I mean, we're definitely by your side, 100%. Whatever you do, we're there. But we as Jews, you know, going back to tzedakah and mitzvah, we can't stand by and see bad things happening to people, you know. And that's why during the civil rights era, we took that stand and we fought back. You know, Jews spearheaded the civil rights era, and we actually helped in the formation of many Black colleges and schools that you see today, and many, many other things. You know, we've both been redlined and segregated, so it's only natural for us to stand up and fight back. But yeah, Ted and I and my family, you know, we've done many, many good things, you know, whether it's going to homeless encampments and, you know, locking arms and not letting the police tear down these encampments, which is also part of the problem, because these encampments, a lot of them were on federal land, under freeway bypasses, not in plain sight. And the city came, teared a lot of these encampments down, and that's why you're seeing a lot of homelessness in our streets. A lot of it had to do with that, and Ted was on the forefronts. We were there and just fighting back, and unfortunately, there was no plan. There was no action plan to help kind of mediate and structure where all these people were going to go. And unfortunately, our politicians in our city failed us in many cases. But, you know, not to point fingers, you know, Garcetti especially, he, as Ted always says, he inherited these issues, and they're doing.
Garcetti, excuse me, Garcetti is Eric Garcetti, the Honorable Eric Garcetti, is the mayor of Los Angeles. And I knew Eric Garcetti when he was just a pup. And his father, Gil Garcetti, who was the district attorney at the time in 1999, worked with me and some other top-level law enforcement people to put together a strategic plan to address homelessness from the law enforcement point of view. It's very supportive. So he's talking about Eric Garcetti. Go ahead, Shai. I'm sorry.
And yeah, we fought back in that sense. Right now, we're partnered with about 2,800 churches. We feed people at the border, and we go down to Skid Row and we talk to people, we feed people. I personally do a lot of chaplaincy work in the jail system. And, we have a lot of Black friends that we constantly are in touch with that are incarcerated. And it's been a journey. It's been a journey, but, we're doing what we can to make a change. We just don't like to see what's happening nowadays. And it's just.
Look at that, folks.
Yeah.
Look at that mess right there. And that's something. This is going on all over LA, San Francisco, Oakland, all the major urban centers. Shai,
it's a humanitarian crisis. It's
what it is.
That people have just been turning a blind eye to. BLM will come around every 4 years and put their fists in the air and talk about Black lives and Black matters, which is fantastic. It's great and it brings exposure to the cause. But how about the Black homeless people that are disproportionately homeless? They're targeted by homelessness more than any other race, and we do nothing. Right. We do nothing about it.
Well, what Shai did, y'all. Another thing that the Abishaw household did with me out here in Venice Beach, they put together a march right down to Abercrombie doing a festival, and they were talking about my plan to end homelessness, the national plan, a comprehensive plan. Yeah. And so he's putting his face to work, is what I'm saying to you. Okay. Another thing he did was when the White House called me, because my name came up in there about on high level about the homeless situation. They called and say, hey, we'd like to come to DC, come out to Los Angeles and you show us around here. This was under Donald Trump in 2019. And so they came. I couldn't be here, but I turned them on to Shai and the family and Wayne Fishback and Rhonda, and they took them around town and everything and showed them stuff. And then they invited us to the White House, and Shai and his sister and everybody came out to the White House. So they've been there with me. See, I've tried to get Black folks to do that. It's been my Jewish brothers, man.
That Abbott Kinney Fair was fantastic. We reenacted the MLK walk. So we had, Black leaders, Jewish leaders, community members, Hare Krishnas, Muslims. We were all together that day, and we locked arms and walked together and spread a message of love. And it was such a beautiful day. And we want to recreate that hopefully soon. It'll be after MLK Day when we get some more time on our hands, Ted. We got to do that on Melrose. That's where we got to do it, right?
Yes, Shai's working on some projects right now, folks. That's gonna, Melrose Boulevard is very similar in certain ways to like Sunset Boulevard with the name, or Hollywood Boulevard. Well, Melrose has come up, and it's become a really avant-garde community, and stores and so forth. Well, since the whole Black Lives Matter thing happened, George Floyd last year, and the riots and all that stuff, something has changed on Melrose Boulevard, and the stores are still there, of course, but there's a lot of Black citizens, young Black citizens, hanging out on Melrose, and they have all of these special shops where they're selling their T-shirts, their trinkets, their hats, their clothing, their designs, their whatever. And Shai and I, he took me out there one day, and we did a video of all these young Black people. So what Shai wants to do out there, he wants to kind of organize those young Black people on Melrose to get behind this whole homeless strategy plan that we have. See, that's putting your talk to walk. Mm-hmm. See, so this is why I'm so excited about having my brother on tonight, because I want us, Ken and Keith, to really strive as much as we can, and everybody else that's watching tonight here on Your Power Weapon Urban Smart Network. I want y'all to really consider all of this, and before you just jump off the handle and want to start screaming about Jewish people being involved in conspiracies and all those things that's been going on like that. There's like I said, everybody has some bad folks in our around us, but you cannot allow this to happen. I call it the spirit of Haman. Haman was an old evil dude back in the day, and he tried to get all the Jews massacred in Persia, and God flipped that around. The spirit of Luther, the spirit of Hitler, the spirit of Amalek. These are all anti-Hebrew people, and these Hebrew people are being attacked. I believe, Keith and Ken, it's spiritual. It begins in heaven. with Satan.
I believe that. I
The
believe that.
accuser of the brethren. That's where it really begins, because he knows that if he could destroy these specialized people, not because they're better than anybody else, that's not the issue, but because God chose them through Abraham to so that we Gentiles can come to believe too. He wants them destroyed because they are the witness that there is.
They don't want us united. They don't want us
They don't
united.
want that.
We're
The
gonna
evil
shut that
spirit don't
down.
want that. And we're going to stop that. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's essentially what it is, you know.
So it's not people so much. It's not those old white racist. It's not
It's
them.
the Judeo-Christian values that are being
It's a spirit, folks. It's a spirit. It's a spirit that we're fighting.
I agree wholeheartedly. And we can't sit back, right? We can't just sit back and watch it happen.
And that's why we're mobilizing.
When people say it's systemic, it is systemic, right? What happens to Black people, what happens to Jews, right? These are thousands of years of being hit over the head. You know, this neo-Nazi shot me a message on Instagram and said, "Why are you Jews always whining?" I said, "Why are we always whining?"
Wow.
Okay. I thought about it and I sent him a message back. I said, "You know what?" And you know, I actually want to read it because it really hit home. But essentially, it was by the time I find it, essentially I said, "You know what?" He said Jews and Blacks. He said both of us. I said, "You know what?" And I really thought about it. He said, he has a point. He has a point. We're always whining. And then I started thinking, I said, of course we're always whining. When you're robbed, raped, persecuted, and hit over the head for thousands of years, are you just going to be sitting there smiling? You know, you go to Switzerland, they're going to be smiling and give you some chocolate. But Blacks and Jews alike, we're always going to have our fists in the air and fighting for rights, right? Human rights. We see what's happening because it's been happening to us for so long. And that's what I told them. I said, it's a porcupine effect. After all these years of being beat over the head, it's only natural for us to use our voice and to speak up. And going back to these flyers, these propaganda flyers that are being spread around the city, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are on one side of COVID, and there's thousands on the other side. I'm talking about, you know, the policy of what's happening. And what these guys did is they picked 10 of these Jewish names and they said, look at what the Jews are doing. What about the other thousands and thousands of people, right? It's specifically...
Good point, Shai. Good point. Absolutely correct.
It's specifically engineered to demonize Jews. And that's what they're doing. And they're going to be... Anti-Semitism and Black racism is design hatred. And it's designed to work 100% of the time. It will work. Because majority of people are naive. They're just going to look at this and say, oh my God, look at this. Oh my God, look at that. It's how you package and feed people information. Look at the news today. They can easily manipulate people. It's all propaganda warfare.
And that's
it's
why...
It's their shiny object. It's their shiny object because, like Ted pointed out, there you all are fighting for Black homelessness, but where are the brothers? There you all are at the White House in Washington, D.C., Jewish people are dead, and where are the brothers? Well, I was in Arizona standing up for our borders with some of the most incredible Americans you ever want to meet, sheriffs, senators, congressmen. And I'll tell you, I was about one of two brothers that were there. And like you just pointed out, Shai, all those issues, because see, hate is like red meat. People don't realize it, but hate is a drug, you know? And so it's easy to get them turned on to that shiny object, because then they won't be at the borders. They won't be in the homeless encampment seeing the real exhaust, the real exhaust of leftist ideology, which is basically Marxist, socialist, and anti-Semitic. This whole thing ties together, just like you were pointing out, Shai, and that's the point. You showed me a picture of homeless people in Beverly Hills, but you know what I saw? I saw votes. Their vote has not been removed from them. They've just been, disheveled and set aside by the leftist ideology. You're right. Love is, help me say it again. Love is
real.
Love is real. Huh?
Real. R-E-A-L.
Okay. And that is where we're going to win, because we're going to love these people back to life.
Exactly.
The devil is a liar. He comes to rob, steal, kill, and destroy. He's leaving a wasteland of human beings, misery, and anger. We're going to love these people back to life through the power of Christ, through the power of God.
You know what? You know who's profiting from all this? It's bad people, right?
Yep.
Bad politicians, greedy people.
Yep.
No, it's no different what we're seeing with the homeless situation, disproportionately targeting our black brothers and sisters, is no different than what's happening in Israel with the Palestinians, right? It's the people on top intentionally keeping the people oppressed on the bottom. They don't want them to grow, right? Because they use them as tools to profit, right? For Israel to make peace with the Palestinians, it's a phone call away, right? But they fight it back. They choose not to. Why? Because peace is not as profitable, right? Evil is not going to profit from peace.
There it is.
And you see Arafat, you see Ishmael Haniyeh, you see Abbas, you see their assets. And we're talking about these guys are multi-millionaires. They have yachts, they have mansions. Yasser Arafat's wife is over in France. I mean, she's a multi-millionaire. But people don't see these things. They don't see these things. And this is how they keep the struggle alive. It's by fueling this mentality that look at what these evil oppressors are doing to these poor people.
The shiny object.
The shiny object. But by this point, the amount of money that's being funneled into Gaza, which is a very small area, or the West Bank, which is a very small area.
I've been there before, folks.
Yeah, I have too. And
I've been a lot of times. I've been once.
It's hustling and bustling. I mean, it's a thriving. These are thriving communities.
Beautiful people.
They're not homeless. The obesity rate, the Palestinian obesity rate, is one of the highest in the region.
Wow.
You can Google it. They're the most.
So they must be doing something pretty good. They're picking up that body fat.
They're eating, and it's unfortunate that it's been wherever Jews go, this is going to happen, right? They're gonna.
But you were saying though, Shai, you were saying something very interesting. I'd like to go back to that. You are just now advocating for the Palestinian people.
Of course.
You are a Jewish person. You are born not just in Israel, but you're born in Jerusalem. Wow. Here you are just now passionately pleading the cause of Palestinian women. Continue with that, sir.
Of course.
What you see with what's happening to the Palestinian people. What's going on over there, brother?
Their children are being weaponized, right? These children are being tricked into thinking that they need to pick up a knife and just stab an Israeli, right? In school, they're learning these things, which is the root of the problem.
What talk to us some more about their diet and their housing and their rights and their freedoms. What's happening to the Palestinian people, so-called Palestinian people?
Gaza is a beautiful location. It's seaside. There's hotels. There's people are shopping. It's thriving. It's not what you think.
Oh, really? Because we see a lot in the news. We see a lot of poverty, a lot of devastation, and so forth.
No, look, of course
And I've heard that people are getting upset with Hamas for the way they're being treated.
Yeah, look, first of all, the Arab world has waken up to the corruption and greed by Hamas and the Palestinian Authority. They've woken up. They're like, what the hell happened to all the money we've given you all this time? You could have built Singapore 10 times over. Seriously. Yeah. And you guys didn't.
This money was earmarked for the peoples, correct?
Of course. They branded
and the leaders took that money that could have caused great health for those folks. You talk about obesity and so forth, and put that in their pockets. Is that what you're saying?
100%. 100%. You can't deny it.
How do the Israeli people and the Jewish people around the world feel about what's going on with the with the oppressed people of the Palestinians?
You know, Israeli people failed. They didn't think that they had to sell themselves. They didn't think that they had to brand themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They just thought, hey, you know, the world can see this guy is blowing up a cafe with 20 innocent people, or the world can see, you know, this guy ramming his car into a crowd of people or stabbing, you know, a person walking. They expect the world to see it. And that's where they failed, because
What should they have done, Shai?
you know, they should have showed the world all the good things that they do in Israel for the Palestinians. Don't forget, there's
What did it do for the Palestinians? And when I was over there, I heard, okay, when I went to Gaza, that the whole substructure, the electrical, the sewer, all is funded by the Israelis. Is that true?
look, a lot of it is true. Yes, my Israeli Arab friends would never, ever, ever want to live under Palestinian leadership, because they have more freedom, more rights. I'm talking about the 2 million Arabs living in Israel. Gaza is a separate entity. Israel does not occupy Gaza, and there's not one Israeli living in Gaza, not one Jew. It's completely Judenreich.
Wait a minute. Are you saying in Israel that there are 2 million Arab people, Palestinian, living as citizens within the borders of Israel?
Correct.
Whereas in Gaza and Samaria or the West Bank, there's not a Jew living there?
Gaza is a complete separate entity. And you know what's unfortunate? Even the West Bank, segregation exists today.
Mm-hmm.
Jews are not allowed to live in their ancestral homeland. It's like telling a Native American, a Cherokee, that he can't live in California.
Well, they
Yeah,
did it.
you know, it's like Netanyahu said.
But look,
Netanyahu said that if he said that if the Palestinians had no weapons, there would be peace tomorrow. But if Israel had no weapons, they would be annihilated the next day.
You know, Israel, we can't lose one war. If we lose one war, there will be no Israel, unfortunately.
I heard also, correct me if I'm wrong, Shai. We got 3 minutes, folks. We got to get out of here. This is getting really incredible. Shai, will you come back, please? You come back and visit with us again, please, and tell us more. But I understand that there's actual Arabs in the Knesset, non-Jews in the Knesset. Is that true?
Of course, there's Arabs in the Knesset. They're lawyers or doctors. They're my friends, right? You go to Israel.
You don't hear about this. You just don't.
Israel is one of the most diverse countries in the Middle East, if not the most diverse, right? There's Baha'is, Druze, Armenians, Catholics, Christians, Jews, everyone living together in peace. And you don't see that. You don't see that in Gaza. You don't see that in the West Bank, or you don't see that in many parts of the Middle East, unfortunately.
Listen, guys, I'm sorry. We're coming up on a hard end, and we got to cut it here. Folks, look, I want to thank Keith Hardeen, my co-host. I want to thank the Unicorn, Ken White, my co-host. And, of course, we want to thank Shai Abishur for being here with us today. And we want him to come back. Of course, we thank our engineer and producer in the background, wonderful, brilliant guy. And wait till you get to know everybody. Please tell all your friends about what's going on with your power weapon on urbansmartnetwork.com. Join with us at Learn Love is Real movement. Let's work together. Let's get this flag turned right side up by getting this country back where it belongs. And don't forget, next Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Coast time, 10 o'clock p.m. East Coast time, your power weapon on Urban Smart Network. See y'all next time.
Good night, guys.